The alien hospital was quiet. Only the soft hum of machines filled the air. The nurse, Lyra, walked between glowing beds where wounded soldiers rested. Her skin shimmered blue under the sterile lights. Her long fingers held a scanner. She was trained to stay calm, no matter what kind of patient came through the door. But when the orderlies rolled in a human soldier, her calm almost broke. She had seen humans only from a distance during the war. Tall, strong, strange. Now one lay before her. Armor cracked, chest rising with heavy breaths, his eyes half open, whispering words she could not understand. Lyra bent closer, scanning his chest, broken ribs, bleeding, fever rising. His body fought to stay alive. She gave commands quickly. Stabilize him. Keep pressure here. Her staff obeyed. The machines hissed as they pushed medicine into his veins. For a moment, she thought it was another normal case of battlefield wounds. But then the scanner beeped, flashing red near his lower body. Lyra frowned. She checked again. The swelling was real, large, strange, not like any injury she had studied. Her training covered hundreds of species, but not this. Her mind raced. Was it infection, parasite, hidden weapon? She leaned closer, her heart beating faster. The swelling pulsed faintly, alive, not dead tissue. She stepped back, shock written across her face. The human groaned, his voice rough. It's normal. But his words were weak, broken by pain. Lyra froze. Normal, he said. How could it be normal? Two assistants looked at her nervously. Should we cut it open? One asked. It could spread. The other whispered. Or explode. The room grew tense. No, Lyra said firmly. Her instincts told her not to harm it yet. She felt something different, something hidden in this mystery. I will handle this patient alone, she added. Her assistants exchanged uneasy glances, but obeyed. She touched the scanner screen again. Data poured in. Heart rate steady but strange. Hormone levels rising. Muscles reacting in ways alien to her knowledge. She tried to stay professional, but inside her mind swirled with questions. Why would human anatomy hold such a swelling? What purpose did it serve? Why had no one warned her? Her gaze returned to the soldier's face. His eyes opened briefly, dark and deep. He looked at her with a mix of pain and trust. Don't be afraid, he whispered. Then he lost consciousness again. Lyra stood frozen. Her hand trembled slightly as she wrote notes on her datapad. Fear and curiosity battled in her chest. She had sworn to heal, not to fear, but this discovery could not be ignored. She glanced at the door. Already she could hear distant footsteps in the hall. Soon the commander would arrive, and if he saw this patient, the human would not survive. They would see him as a threat, a weapon. Lyra bent low, whispering to herself, "What are you hiding, human? What secret lives inside you?" Her heart pounded harder than ever before. She had treated hundreds of patients, but none had shaken her like this. She adjusted the sheets, covering him carefully, hiding the swelling from curious eyes. Her mind was made. She would protect this patient until she understood the truth. And so, the story began, with an alien nurse and a human soldier, brought together not by choice, but by a swelling that defied all reason, a mystery that would change both their lives, and maybe even the fate of two species. The dim light of the alien ward flickered as Lyra stood beside the human's bed. Her fingers traced the glowing screen of her scanner again and again, but the readings made no sense. Human biology was already strange, but this swelling was something beyond her training. She locked the door, keeping other nurses away. Alone in the room, she leaned close to the soldier. His breaths came ragged but steady. His chest rose and fell like a stubborn engine refusing to die. She wondered how much pain his body could endure. The swelling was not shrinking. In fact, the scanner showed the energy around it was rising, not falling. Her people believed that strange energy inside a wounded body often meant danger, infection, or weaponization. A parasite could be growing, or some hidden explosive planted by enemy tech. Lyra's hands shook as she pressed a cool patch against his skin. "Stay alive, soldier," she whispered. His face twitched, a faint smile, or maybe only a shadow of memory. He was unconscious, yet his body responded to her touch. Footsteps echoed outside. She froze. The commander, General Varen, had arrived early. His voice was sharp, metallic from the augmentations in his throat. "Show me the human," he barked. Lyra's heart jumped. If he discovered the swelling, the human would be dragged away to the labs, never to return. She pulled the sheet higher, covering him. When the door hissed open, she forced her face into calmness. The human is stable, but weak, she reported. Nothing unusual. Varen's eyes narrowed, golden and cruel. He stepped closer, scanning the soldier with his own wrist device. The device beeped, flashing briefly red. Lyra's stomach dropped. "What is that?" Varen demanded. His gaze burned into her. She had only seconds to decide. "Scar tissue," she lied quickly. "A reaction to battlefield toxins. I am treating it." The general studied her face for a long moment. Then with a grunt, he turned away. "Do not waste resources on this creature too long. If he dies, so be it." With that, he left. The door hissed shut, and Lyra collapsed back into her chair. Her heart thundered in her chest. She had lied to her superior for the first time in her career. Her mind whirled. Why did she protect the human? Why risk herself? But every time she looked at him, she felt something heavy and strange inside her. Not fear, not duty, but curiosity mixed with something else. The night passed slowly. Lyra kept watch, running silent tests. The swelling responded to her touch, not shrinking but pulsing softly, as if alive, as if answering her. The data was impossible. She bit her lip, whispering, "What are you? Human? What secret do you carry down below?" Hours later, the soldier stirred, his eyes half opened, his lips dry. "Water," he croaked. She rushed to give him a sip, holding his head carefully. He drank, then coughed. His eyes met hers, a long, silent stare. "You don't understand," he said weakly. "It's not danger. It's part of me." Her eyes widened. "Part of you," she repeated. "This swelling, it belongs to you." He nodded faintly, his breath shallow. "Yes, normal, but different for your kind." His eyes closed again, sinking back into sleep. Lyra sat frozen, replaying his words in her mind. Part of him, not an injury, not infection, something natural, something his species carried, a truth hidden between them. She felt her heart beat louder. The hospital around her faded. The machines, the walls, the humming lights. All she could see was the human and the mystery that tied them now. She leaned close, whispering, "Then I will protect you, even from my own people, until I know the truth." And in that quiet promise, the nurse crossed a line she could never return from. A secret now bound her fate with his, a swelling that could ignite not just curiosity, but conflict between two worlds. The human soldier woke again as the pale light of morning seeped through the ward's glass walls. His breathing was shallow but stronger than before. Lyra sat at his side, a data slate glowing in her hands. She had not slept, her eyes heavy but sharp, waiting for answers. He stirred, turning his head slightly. His gaze met hers, a spark of awareness hidden behind the haze of pain. She leaned closer, her voice soft but steady. "You must explain. What is this swelling? What does it mean?" For a moment, silence stretched between them. The machines hummed. The air smelled faintly of antiseptic and metal. Finally, the human whispered, "It is not disease, not weapon. It is part of who we are. It is life." Her heart pounded. "Life," she repeated, confusion spreading in her chest. "How?" His lips curved into a faint smile. "Reproduction," he said, his voice weak. Yet the single word struck her harder than any wound. Her hands trembled. She had treated hundreds of species, but this was something else. Aliens reproduced in many ways: spores, cloning, division, external sacs. But never had she seen such a strange swelling connected directly to survival. Her mind raced. Images of human anatomy and alien texts blurred together. "You mean," she began, but her voice broke. Heat touched her cheeks, something alien to her calm training. He closed his eyes, whispering, "Normal for us, shocking for you." His breathing slowed, exhaustion dragging him back toward sleep. But the words were enough. Her mind burned with curiosity, yet a blush of shame crawled over her skin. Was this why he asked her not to fear? Was this why he said it was part of him? The door hissed open suddenly. Two alien medics stepped inside, their eyes cold and sharp. "Rumors are spreading," one said. "The human carries a mutation. They want him examined by the military council." Lyra's heart stopped. If the council knew, The human would be dissected in a sterile lab, stripped of secrets like a broken machine. She forced her face into calmness. "He is too weak to move," she said. "Another day, and I will report." The medics exchanged glances, suspicion in their eyes. "Be careful, Nurse Lyra," one warned. "If you hide something, the punishment will be yours." Then they left. The door closed. Silence returned, but fear clung to the air. She turned back to the soldier. He slept again, unaware of the danger closing in. Her fingers clenched the edge of the sheet. She could not let them take him. Not yet. Not until she understood everything. The night came heavy and long. Shadows stretched across the walls of the ward. Lyra sat with her data slate, reading human archives captured during the war. Much of it was redacted, but small fragments told stories of how humans valued bonds, families, children. Life continued by acts of closeness. The swelling, she realized, was not disease but a symbol of creation. Her chest tightened. Her people had always seen humans as violent, destructive, but here lay proof that their bodies carried deep design for connection, for continuation, something sacred hidden in flesh. She reached out, brushing his hand lightly. The skin was warm, strong even in weakness. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "I will not let them take you. Not for this. Not for what you carry." But outside, whispers grew louder. Soldiers spoke in corridors. Officials sent encrypted messages. They wanted the human examined, and soon. And Lyra knew the secret she had just learned was no longer safe. If she wanted to keep him alive, she would have to fight not only her fear, but her own people. The council chamber smelled of iron and smoke. Banners of the alien empire hung heavy on the walls, glowing with crimson light. Lyra stood at the edge of the room, her heart pounding. The human soldier had been carried in on a stretcher, weak but alive, his eyes half open, scanning the towering figures around him. General Varen's voice cut through the silence like a blade. "This creature hides something inside his body. We demand to know its nature." His golden eyes glowed, the room tense with suspicion. Lyra stepped forward, forcing her voice to stay calm. "He is wounded, unstable. He should not be questioned yet." The general's mouth curled into a sneer. "You protect him, nurse, but do you protect our people? If his swelling is a weapon, you risk us all." The word swelling echoed through the chamber. Some officials shifted uncomfortably. Others leaned forward, curious. Whispers filled the air, rumors growing sharper by the second. The human struggled, lifting his head slightly. His voice was raw but steady. "It is not weapon, not curse. It is life. My kind carries it. It is normal." His words hung heavy, confusing to those who listened. A counselor slammed his clawed hand against the table. "Lies," he roared. "A hidden device, a parasite. Perhaps humans carry this to breed infection into other races." Murmurs of agreement rippled. Lyra felt heat rise in her chest. For years she had been silent, obedient, but now she could not stay still. She raised her voice. "No, I have studied him. This swelling is natural, not dangerous. You call it weapon because you do not understand, but fear is not truth." The chamber went silent. Dozens of eyes turned toward her, shock flashing at her defiance. General Varen's gaze sharpened. "You dare defend a human in this council?" His voice thundered. "Nurse, remember your place." Her hands trembled, but she lifted her chin. "I swore an oath to heal, not to fear. I see a patient, not a weapon." The words spilled out, her voice stronger than she expected. The human looked at her, his eyes dark but burning with gratitude. That single glance gave her strength. She realized she was no longer just a nurse. She was now his shield. The council broke into arguments. Some demanded immediate dissection. Others wanted isolation. The room shook with voices clashing. Lyra stepped closer to the stretcher, whispering under the chaos. "Hold on. I will not let them take you." The soldier's hand twitched, brushing against hers, weak but deliberate. The simple touch felt louder than the shouting around them. Suddenly, the general raised his hand, and the chamber fell silent. His voice was cold, final. "The council will vote tomorrow. If the swelling is not explained by then, the human will be cut open, piece by piece." Lyra's chest tightened. Tomorrow, that was all the time she had. As guards wheeled the stretcher back toward the ward, she followed, her mind racing. If she did nothing, the soldier was doomed. If she acted, she would betray her people. Back in the quiet of the ward, she stood by his side, watching his shallow breaths. Her reflection stared back from the glass, eyes filled with fear and fire. "I must choose," she whispered, "my duty to them, or my duty to you." And in that moment, the clash of cultures became more than politics. It became personal, her loyalty, her heart, her future, all hanging in the balance with the secret of one human's strange swelling. The ward was silent, but Lyra's thoughts roared louder than any machine. Tomorrow the council would decide, and the human would be torn apart in the name of knowledge. She paced the room, her hands clenched, her heart heavy. The soldier stirred, opening his eyes weakly, his voice cracked but steady. "They will kill me, won't they?" Lyra froze. She wanted to lie, but she could not. "Yes," she whispered, "unless I act." His gaze searched her face, tired but trusting. "Then act," he said simply. Those two words burned into her chest. She had already crossed lines, but this was different. To save him now meant betraying everything she had been raised to serve. Yet when she looked at him, broken and fragile but unyielding, she knew her choice was made. She pulled a hidden panel in the wall, revealing a narrow tunnel that stretched into shadow. It was an old service passage, long abandoned. "We will leave tonight," she said, "before dawn, before the guards tighten the locks." The soldier tried to sit, his body shaking. Lyra rushed to steady him. "You are too weak," she whispered, "but I will carry you if I must." He gave a faint, painful smile. "You would betray your people for me." Her throat tightened. "Not for you alone, for the truth, for life." The alarms outside changed pitch, a sharp rising wail. Someone had accessed restricted files. Soldiers marched in the corridors. Lyra knew time was shorter than she thought. She pulled the sheet from his bed, wrapping him in a medic's cloak. "Keep your head down," she ordered. Together they slipped into the tunnel. The walls were damp, lined with old pipes and dust. Every echo of their footsteps felt like thunder in her ears. She led him through winding paths, her hand firm on his arm to steady him. He stumbled often, but never stopped. Behind them, voices shouted, "Search every room. The human is missing." Boots pounded, closer and closer. Lyra's pulse raced. She pressed him against a wall, holding her breath as lights swept past the grate above. For a moment she thought it was over, but the patrol moved on. They pushed forward. The tunnel opened into an old cargo bay. Crates stacked like forgotten bones. Moonlight spilled through cracks in the ceiling. The soldier collapsed against a crate, gasping. His body trembled with exhaustion. "Go without me," he rasped. Lyra dropped to her knees beside him, her voice fierce. "No, I will not leave you." She gripped his hand tight. "I chose this path, and I will walk it to the end." His eyes softened, a silent gratitude shining through his pain. Suddenly, the bay doors hissed open. Shadows of soldiers poured in, their armor gleaming under dim light. Lyra's heart stopped. They had been found. She scanned the room quickly, spotting a narrow shaft leading to the outside alleys. It was small, dangerous, but their only chance. "Come," she urged, pulling him toward it. The soldier tried to rise, his body screaming in protest, but her strength carried them both. Shouts erupted. "There, stop them!" Blaster fire seared the air, sparks raining down. Lyra shielded the human with her body as they crawled through the shaft. Metal burned against her skin, but she pushed forward. At last, the shaft spilled them into the open night. The city stretched wide, neon lights flickering against the dark sky. Crowds moved in the distance, unaware of the fugitives crawling from the shadows. They collapsed in a narrow alley, hidden by crates and steam vents. Lyra's chest heaved, her body ached, but they were alive, for now. The soldier whispered, his voice barely audible, "Why, save me?" Lyra looked at him, her own breath ragged. "Because your secret is not danger, it is life, and life must be protected." And in that moment, under the neon glow of a city that hunted them, the nurse and the soldier became fugitives bound by choice. Their escape had begun, but the real battle was only just ahead. The night air outside the city was sharp and cold, carrying the smell of rust and burned fuel. Lyra guided the human through broken alleys and into the ruins beyond the outer wall. The city lights faded behind them until only stars and the dim glow of broken towers lit their path. The soldier leaned heavily against her, his steps slow. His body had strength, but the wounds and fever drained him. Still, he never once asked her to stop. His determination pushed them both forward. At last, they reached the shell of an old structure, half collapsed. Its roof sagged, its walls cracked, but it offered shelter. Inside, dust floated in pale moonlight. Lyra lowered him onto a pile of torn fabric that once was bedding. She pressed her hand to his forehead. Heat burned against her palm. "You will not last long without treatment," she whispered. Her bag held only a few supplies. Antiseptic, bandages, a weak stim injector. She cleaned his wounds with careful hands, wrapping them tightly. Every touch reminded her of the strange reality. She was caring for a human fugitive, hunted by her own kind. His eyes fluttered open, dark and deep. "Why?" he asked in a weak voice. "Why risk your life for me?" Lyra froze, searching for words. "Because I saw truth in you," she said softly. "Not enemy, not weapon, just life trying to survive." He studied her, lips curling in a faint smile. "Most of your people see us as monsters," he murmured. "But you, different." His hand twitched as if to reach for hers, then fell weakly to his side. She felt heat rise to her cheeks. Hours passed slowly. Soldiers searched the city. Their voices carried faintly on the wind. Lyra sat by the fire she had built from broken wood, her gaze never leaving him. Her mind wrestled with fear. She had betrayed her oath, her people, everything she had known, yet she felt no regret, only a strange pull she could not name. The human stirred again, his voice stronger now. "This swelling you fear," he said. "It is not curse. It is how we continue, how we make families." Lyra's chest tightened. "Families," she repeated, tasting the word. Her people bred in sterile chambers, cold and efficient. To her, family was chosen duty, not blood, not closeness. He nodded faintly. "For us, family is everything. It is pain, it is joy, but it is what makes us fight. Without it, we are nothing." His words sank deep into her, shaking her more than the threats of generals or councils. For the first time, she felt the weight of what he carried. Not a swelling, not a danger, but the power to create. She lowered her gaze, whispering, "If they knew this, they would not stop until they broke you apart." He gave a weak laugh. "Then you must decide, nurse, do you stand with them or with me?" Her heart pounded. This was the choice she had been avoiding. She looked at him, sweat shining on his skin, his chest rising with stubborn strength. "Against all reason, against all fear," she spoke, "I stand with you." The words left her lips like a vow, and she knew there was no going back. Suddenly, a sharp sound echoed outside. Boots crushing gravel, metallic voices barking orders. They had been tracked. Lyra grabbed her bag, her eyes fierce. "They found us," she whispered. "Stay still. I will protect you." She positioned herself at the doorway, her body tense, ready to fight if needed. The soldier struggled to rise. "You cannot face them alone," he rasped. "Trust me, I can still fight." Their eyes locked, two lives tied by fear and choice. Trust balanced fragile between them. And as shadows moved closer outside, they both knew the test of that trust had only just begun. The ruins shook with the heavy march of soldiers. Their armored boots pounded like drums of war. Lyra pressed her back against the crumbling wall, every muscle tight. The human sat behind her, struggling to rise, his face pale, but his eyes blazing with stubborn fire. The first beam of a searchlight cut across the room. Dust lit up in the air. A metallic voice roared, "Surrender the human, Nurse Lyra, and you will be spared." Her chest ached. She had sworn to heal, not to fight. But this was no longer about oaths. It was about a choice. Her people demanded her obedience. The human demanded her courage. She turned to him, whispering, "If I give you up, they will tear you apart." He managed a faint smile. "Then you already know your answer." The door blasted open with a scream of metal. Soldiers poured inside, weapons glowing. General Varen himself stepped forward, his golden eyes burning. "This ends now," he declared. "Hand him over, or you both die." The fire inside Lyra burned hotter than her fear. She stepped in front of the human, arms spread wide. No, she said firmly. Her voice echoed through the ruins. You see danger where there is only life. You see weapon where there is only truth. I will not let you destroy him. The general's jaw tightened, his hand raised, a signal for the soldiers. But before the order fell, the human pushed himself up, swaying but standing. She protects me because I protect her, he said, his voice raw but strong. You think my body holds a weapon, but it holds something greater. Hope. If you kill me, you will kill the chance to learn what humanity truly is. For a moment, silence gripped the soldiers. Doubt flickered in their eyes. The general snarled. But the hesitation was real. Lyra saw it, and she stepped forward, her voice cutting through the silence. If you strike him, you strike me too. And if you do, you will not silence truth. You will only prove your fear. The soldiers shifted uneasily, their weapons lowered slightly. The general's fury blazed, but control slipped from his grasp. Traitor, he spat at her. You have chosen the enemy. Lyra's voice did not waver. I have chosen life. In that instant, she grabbed the soldier's arm, pulling him toward a gap in the wall blasted open by years of decay. They stumbled into the night, the soldiers too slow to react. Some lowered their weapons entirely, unwilling to shoot their own healer. The ruins gave way to open plains. The stars stretched above them like endless fire. The soldier collapsed to his knees, gasping for breath. Lyra knelt beside him, her hand gripping his. We are not safe, she whispered, but we are free. He looked at her, eyes filled with gratitude deeper than words. You saved me, he said softly. She shook her head. No, we saved each other. Behind them, the city burned with whispers of betrayal. Ahead of them, the stars promised exile or hope. But in that fragile space between fear and freedom, Lyra understood the truth. The swelling that had begun as mystery and fear had become something greater, not danger, but proof. Proof that humanity carried more than violence. Proof that life itself could defy walls, armies, and fear. And as dawn broke across the horizon, painting the sky gold, the alien nurse and the human fugitive walked into an uncertain future, bound by a secret, bound by trust, and bound by the choice she had made. She had chosen him, and in that choice, a new story for both their worlds had begun.